Good evening, everybody, and welcome to part two of Straight to the Point, Competing and Completing, where we have been talking to the men. Yes, last week we started an incredible conversation, and we've just been talking about how this subject basically affects us as men. I've had the amazing guests of Carl Hart, Manfred Kwapong, Elliot Ray, and Hassan Solomon. And we left off last week where I asked the question, how has fatherhood impacted you as a man? So we're just going to get straight back into it. But before we go, we just want to say a massive, massive thank you to all of you who came to the Clear for Takeoff conference on Saturday. It was incredible. We're still getting comments and testimonies of how it impacted people. But we just wanted to give you a massive shout out to say to all of you, thank you so much for those of you who tuned in. We're going to be hopefully, sending out a few snippets of, things that we did throughout the conference. So yeah, you'll be able to see that soon on our social media. Don't forget to like, subscribe if you haven't done so already. Two Love Collective is our handle, and we would really appreciate that. So yep, we're going to go straight into part two of this conversation. And the question is, how has fatherhood affected you as a man? And we're going to have Elliot Ray, who's going to go straight in to answer this question. Enjoy.
Elliot, what you saying, bro?
Yeah, I was just thinking.
Because I know this is your area, so.
I was deep in thought. I think for me, fatherhood has taught me like how fragile life can be. I think, and it's taught me that I'm not in control of everything. Yes. I think before becoming a dad, I thought I could do whatever I wanted to, and I thought I was invincible, and very quickly realized that I don't have that level of control. Like basically, when my daughter was born, she wasn't breathing when she was born, and they had to resuscitate her, and my wife lost a lot of blood. And basically, they were like, are you going to intensive care with your daughter, or are you going to stay here with your wife? So I went to intensive care, and we ended up being in the hospital for 2 weeks in intensive care. And my daughter basically she had an infection, and they weren't quite sure like whether she was going to survive or whatnot. And after 10 days of up and down, I moved into the hospital at this point, up and down 10 days. Finally got to a point where we thought she was going to be okay. The doctor was saying she's cool, and she developed this bump on the back of her head. And like, when the doctors are worried, when you got worried with a doctor, and when they call a big doctor that you ain't seen before, this big doctor comes from wherever we came from. This big doctor came, and they were concerned, and the nurses made us tea that night and made our beds, and we had an emergency MRI scan in the morning. And that night, me and my wife, I would say up until then, don't go wrong, we've been through stuff, but up until then, that was definitely the darkest moment. We prayed for I don't know how many hours it was, but it felt like it was hours. Her, and one nurse, Nagme, I remember her name, was in the room with us. Tears, and bear in mind, I hadn't cried. I can't remember the last time I cried. I must have been a child. Tears, like where are these tears coming from? Like this, I'm thinking, where are they coming from? I don't know I didn't know I had all this water in me, right? And then the next day, we go to the MRI scan. I had to go in with her. I remember it so clearly. I go into the MRI scan. I wrap her up and put her in the thing. They take them through the thing, and we get back to our room. We're just waiting, and then the nurse comes in, and she comes in, and she just, her hands were like this, just open, and she gives us a hug, and she's just saying it was like, structural bone thing that's gonna be fine and whatnot. And I remember at that moment, I was like, God, I'm not in control, seriously. Like for the first time in my adult life, I felt like I'm not in control. And I felt like I was just living through like a movie kind of thing. And then after that, there was, for us, the fear, basically. My wife had quite bad anxiety, and then forward 8 months later, my daughter had a severe allergic reaction. And it's just, the first year for us was very, very tough. And I think it's just taught me to appreciate life a lot more, and to humble myself, and just to really, really, really appreciate just waking up every day and just seeing my family. Like literally that first year, when I had sleepless nights, I'm more tired now. That first year, I wasn't tired because I was happy to be up all night. Because I remember times that I was praying to be up all night because I thought that I wouldn't get an opportunity to be tired because I'm being woken up by my crying baby, right? So that first year, I wasn't tired at all because I was just living off that. I'm just thankful that this has happened. And then I think from there, it's been a thing where the challenge for me now, I guess, is more about just consistency. And in being a dad and being a father, realizing that no matter even if you're not in the mood, you're not in the mood that day, or you're tired, or whatever's happened, like you got a child and a family now, and you have to have a level of consistency. I'm not saying you have to be perfect, but all that man Fred saying in terms of humility and honesty and integrity, you have to just switch off and I've had enough. On a general day, it's about being present every day. And that's sometimes hard because sometimes you are humans, right? We have down days and whatnot. And it is tough, like to wake up every day and know that you have things for your family. Yeah. And I think that's something that is, we are all managing and finding ways of keeping ourselves as well-rounded human beings and having our hobbies and having our friends and having our ambitions and the good relationship with our partner and our wives. Those things help us to maintain. And I think through our platform, Music Football Fatherhood, that's what we help you be a well-rounded person who is happy on a daily basis, and then through that you're going to be a good father and a good husband. So yeah, it's been a real life-changing experience. I was looking forward to being a dad. I was definitely ready, but in no way did I think my life was going to change like this. And so being a dad has completely shaped who I am. I wouldn't say completely different person, but I would never have seen myself here 6 years ago. It has changed my life completely.
Amazing. Awesome.
I kind of want to share a little bit about the patience. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay.
I kind of want to share a little bit about being the patience that's required to be a father, but I might just change it and go a little bit deep. So one thing that's never really spoken about is certainly... Pardon?
No, go in, bro. Go in.
Okay.
Go, bro.
Yeah. So one of the things that's never spoken about is certainly miscarriages. So I'll share a little bit. So, I mean, we had our first child was a miscarriage, and that, I would say, knocked us for 6, but I had to be the stronger one out of the 2. For all the reasons that everyone would, understand. You're the man of the home, you've got to be the strong one and all the rest of it. So I'll try and make the story quite short. So pregnant, my wife was pregnant, 6 months, on a Saturday morning. Luckily, I wasn't at work, which was good because I usually work on the weekend, of course, so we didn't have a game. And she starts to feel some pain in the stomach, blah, 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 goes to the toilet. She's bleeding. We're like, all right, we need to go. Make our way to the car. We get into the car. Water breaks. It's like, oh my goodness. Right. I need to drive as quickly as possible. So she's like, the whole back of the car seat is like wet, drenched. So we get to the hospital. I run out. Someone needs to come out. They bring a wheelchair out, put her in a wheelchair. Fast forward, we get to the ward. They, bring out all the equipment and whatnot. They do their checks, and lo and behold, they say baby's heartbeat is no more. So of course my missus is distraught, but we're 6 months in, so she has to deliver the baby. So she still has to go through labor, delivers the child comes out. She's like, they said, do you want to hold the child? And she says yes. I'm like, I don't think I want to hold the child. So anyway, she holds the child. And then we kind of, say our goodbyes. We pray. We thank God for his grace. At least Mrs. is healthy. We're healthy. This child wasn't meant to be, and God knows why. There are some things that we obviously can't fathom as human beings. But I think for me, the biggest thing was miscarriages are never spoken about, but they're actually very, very common. And quite a number of women will experience miscarriages. Some experience it a lot more than others, of course, due to a number of reasons and complications. But for me, going through that first miscarriage, it really changed my perception of pregnancy, and it really made me appreciate fatherhood. I say it changed my perception because everyone thinks it's all about me. It's all about, having sex at this period of the month, where, when you're ovulating, it's all about what I can do to make it work, when it's really all in God's hands. So it made me really understand that. So my perception changed. And then also, you don't have to share it with the whole world. Pregnancy is very private. It is between you and your partner. And those ones where people say, oh, you never told me you're pregnant, and they're beefing you because you never told them. I'm like, it's between me and my wife. And if you happen to see my wife pregnant, then you see her pregnant. But I don't need to shout it from the rooftops. When I have the child, then yeah, please, by all means, come and celebrate with me. But it just made me understand that pregnancy is very, very sacred. And if people choose not to share it, it is entirely up to them. So it made me value it more. And as a father, it made me appreciate fatherhood because, as we all know, children are gifts. They're gifts from God. And every time I see my daughter and my son, but my daughter because she came after the miscarriage, I appreciate and I value her so much. And that's why I was going to speak about patience, and I don't want to go on and on. But even when she pushes those buttons, when you want to brush her teeth and she's messing around and there's no time, when it's bedtime and you're trying to read the story and she wants to eat, I'm like, no, you ate an hour ago. All those little games that they play, and they really push you. I just always remember that, I do want to be an exemplary father, and I'm driven to be an excellent father. So yeah. I guess for me, I certainly appreciate fatherhood. What drives me is certainly to be an excellent father. It has tested patience on another level. Your patience gets tested in ways that you never realized that you even had. But more importantly, I appreciate because of the experience that I went through with of course the miscarriage. So yeah, I'll stop there. So I've lost enough time.
Good stuff, bro. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thanks for sharing that, man. Honestly, you're very right in what you chose to share. We seldom hear the male's perspective about miscarriages. You always feel sorry for me and sympathize with a lady, but this is the first time I've heard a guy talk about that journey. I think a lot of people will be blessed with that, man. You guys have each touched on, critical aspects of, fatherhood and how being a dad changes things. I've been a dad since I had my first child when I was 17, when I was even a boy myself, So I think for me, how fatherhood has changed me over, a long period of time, over at least a good, 16, 17 years. What comes to me is two things: responsibility and service. Right, so as I said earlier on, myself and my wife, we're a blended family. So I've got 4 children, she's got 2. And there was a point in time where I was estranged from my kids. I didn't get to see my kids because of, friction between myself and your mums. And you guys as dads know, when you come home, there's no feeling that's greater than your child coming and say, daddy, 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 daddy. You can't buy that. That's the only, you can only get that feeling as a dad. Mm. And for me, where this whole concept of service and responsibility kicks in, is with I don't call them my stepdaughters. They're my babies. They're my girls. When I come home, or when I came home and I didn't get that feeling of daddy, 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 I wasn't getting that from the girls. And, at the beginning, it was bugging me because I'm like, you know what? I'm stepping in and stepping up where your biological has stepped out. I'm pouring everything I have into you. Knowledge, my wisdom, finances, this, that. These are things that my own children ain't getting. No one is giving my children this, but I'm pouring all of this into you. And come on, hello, like I ain't even getting that. And it really fucked me for the longest time. And honestly, it sucked. But for me, it was like, dude, they don't intrinsically have that notion to respond to you that way. However, what you do and how you continue to act should not change. You're supposed to keep pouring it, keep investing.
Yeah.
Although you feel the same, dude, and it's very easy, especially coming from our community where we know what the family dynamics usually are. Where it's very easy for me, you know what? I ain't your daddy. Boy, let your father sort you out. It's not my fault. It's very easy to start thinking that way and start acting that way.
Yeah. It's true.
Me, I've really come through that. I've really come to understand what love is. Even to the point where I say the girls have taught me more about love than my wife. Because with my wife, there's quid pro quo. I do this, she does that. So there's a certain level of expectation. With the kids, they can't give me nothing. Intrinsically, they cannot do anything for me. However, it's a one-way street. I have to keep pouring in. So that level of responsibility and acknowledging that level of service, it's really taking my whole consciousness and what I do for people and do for the world to a whole other extreme. Because it's got me to a point where, I can pour out and give without expecting anything back. And ultimately, if we are men of the kingdom, that is the mandates that we've been given. To do to others like we expect others to do to us. But I'm not storing up riches here. My riches is being stored up elsewhere. And that's the only way that we can honestly do that is to keep pouring in and not expecting anything back from anything worldly or from people. Because when we put that kind of level of expectation on people, it's difficult to have that maintained. People are always going to fall short of their expectations. So for me, going through this journey of fatherhood, definitely the thing that sticks in my mind and has really showed me is the responsibility and also, the acts of service. Because what's the difference with a boy and a man or a dad? It's responsibility. It's not how much money you pay or whatever. The money is for the mom or the household, but ultimately, what makes you a father is knowing your responsibility and acting upon that responsibility. That's the defining factor. So for me, it's really, really brought that to the forefront of my mind. And understanding, I have to be responsible. I'm responsible for your life, how you turn out, your paradigm. I'm responsible for formulating that and releasing you to the world for God to use you for what He gave you through me. Sorry.
Definitely, bro. That's powerful stuff, man. And I think what kind of summarizes that is just the importance of being present. Because I think for me personally, when I looked at fatherhood, because I didn't have the presence of my dad when I needed him at particular points in my life, what stuck for me was the importance of being present. That's why for me, and obviously I'll share a little bit kind of similar to Elliot in a sense where when we had Matthias, Siobhan lost a lot of blood, and during the whole situation she had to be rushed to intensive care as well. And when the doctor came to me to tell me what was going on, I literally burst out crying. Do you know what I mean? like Manfred was saying, before that, he never saw his dad cry and all that stuff, and I didn't either. But I was definitely a crier growing up. I was not afraid. I was not afraid to cry. Do you know what I mean? The guys who are around me, they know me, boy. Whether I'm in worship or whatever, if I feel something, I'm gone. Do you know what I'm saying? So so I'm in the the hospital. Doctor comes to me, and I'm finished. Do you know what I mean? Like, she's trying to say to me, look, it's not that serious. But as soon as I've heard she's lost blood, she's going into intensive care, it didn't matter what came out of her mouth to try to console me. All I kept on thinking was, I cannot do this by myself, because I knew what my mum went through. Do you know what I mean? Having to kind of raise me over here, and all of the struggles she went through. And in my mind, I was just like, this is not the picture that I had. Do you know what I mean? Because I automatically went to the negative. Do you know what I mean? But while she was in intensive care and I was looking over Matthias, it was just me and him in the room waiting to be told whatever's going to happen to Siobhan, I just started to pray, and I just said, look, God, I had to prepare myself for the worst. Do you know what I mean? And I thank God for how my mum raised me, because when the Bible talks about Jacob and Esau, the Bible says that Jacob was basically a man of the home, and Esau was a man of the field. I definitely related to Jacob, because the way my mum, I could cook, I could clean. Like, my house will never diminish in any way, shape, or form, because I was able to do that role. Do you know what I'm saying? So whilst I was praying, I was just like, no, God, okay, cool. So if I was speaking against it, not to say that, you know what I mean, I was expecting it, but I was like, if this goes sideways, if this goes left, I'm ready to do this thing. And so I had to prepare myself. And so when she came back and, everything went well, the operation was good and all that kind of stuff, I think I still kept that. Do you know what I mean? To be an all-round dad, to be present in every single moment, to the point where, the Bible talks about, obviously, that women are supposed to be our helpmeet, but I wanted to be the help to her. Do you understand? I wanted to make her life easier as much as I could in every capacity, whether that be, in terms of work and profession, whether that be financially, whether that be in the home. There was no way that I was going to be a guy that was just going to sit around and just, call on her and say, I want my food. And if I need to cook dinner, then I will cook dinner for the family. If I need to go out shopping and let her sleep or whatever, that's what, like, wherever there was a gap, I was ready to fill it. And I think that moment where I thought that she was going to die, or that she wasn't going to make it through that operation, it shaped my whole perspective in terms of my drive as a father. And I think even now, having Matthias is a very strong-willed, very strong-willed. I won't say, who he takes off, but very, very strong-willed. And I think he has been like I'm so proud of him, because I don't allow him to kind of have it easy sometimes, because I think sometimes when I look at myself, not to say that I had it easy, but there's just certain things that, when you begin to see your own weaknesses in your children. I don't know if you guys can relate to that, where you begin to see particular tendencies that you had growing up, or areas about yourself that you don't like, and you're seeing it in your children. You're just like, and you're trying to get them to come out of it, but it's almost like they're too young. And so you have to consistently, it's almost like you're dealing with yourself, but in your child. And so you're consistently having to now humble yourself and also be patient with yourself. All the things that you guys have said, to now see this thing through, to put things in place to help them to be strong in that area where maybe once upon a time you were weak. And I think this is what I always keep saying about this being present, because I was saying to, one of my guys, like, being home, like, that's one of my prayers as well. When I was young, I said, God, I don't care how many children we have, but those first couple of years, I want to be present. And I'm telling you guys, no word of a lie, God has answered it. Like, this whole COVID thing has allowed me to be present where I thought I wasn't going to be around, because when Matthias was born, I was self-employed, so I was home. You know, when Siobhan was ready to go back to work, I took Matthias on. So I was a stay-at-home dad. I was running the ship. Do you know what I mean? 3-4 days a week. That was me, drop off, food, everything. Do you know what I mean? And working at the same time. So now, last year, obviously things shifted a bit where, you know, I went into full-time work and then Siobhan was home, but then she had Cyrus and then COVID happened. So now I'm working from home, but I'm present. And I think that is what I kind of want to encourage anybody who is watching, anybody, young people who you've just had a child, you know, whether you're married or you're not married, it's so important to make sure that you are present, because the things that I see, so I won't share all of it, but some of the things that I've seen Matthias do or go through, or even certain things that I'm just like, if I wasn't here to correct you, if I wasn't here to guide you, I wasn't to say, you mean it's actually what it means this, or when you say this, like he encouraged me to keep doing things. And then both weaknesses and the strength us men have. Okay, to make Kenford said, where he was like, you know, he was enough to his look, this to actually respond to this. I'm inspired by that. I don't think I would have done that, bro. Honestly, because when you told the story, I was just like, you know, I would have just left it and said, no, sometimes, you know what I'm saying? You need to tell people about themselves and tell them that, no, you don't. But I love your heart of that story, and that it's in them, because everything. And, you know, as fathers now, we have to be grounded. Do you know what I mean? We have to be grounded. We have to be present. We have to be humble, patient. All the things that you guys have said, so that our children can see what it means to be a man in this society. So I'm gonna switch. I know it's getting late, but I have to talk about this topic, and it's obviously about money. Obviously, I want to talk about girls as well, because all of these things encompass. I know you guys are all married men, but it's something that, you know, our young people are going through right now. But in terms of money, like, what do you think money and status? How has that kind of influenced, you know, or caused you to compete maybe with other men, or, you know, compete in your fields, whether that is you being a professional? Like, how has that been for you guys in terms of money and success? How has that kind of influenced how you kind of operate now, and what what was your past, or, you know what I mean? Like, you guys kind of experienced that side of
I think for me, it's the value of money, which I'm sure most of the other guys may touch on. Money. We are very, I don't know if you guys can hear me, by the way, because I feel like my camera's lagging.
Yeah, slightly.
But anyway, I'll continue.
Slightly on my side,
Okay. Anyway, I'll continue. So, for me, it's understanding the value of money. Now, growing up in our household, I can't say that we had a lot of money. So we're the type of family who, whatever we had, we shared everything. So we would eat out of each other's pockets. if I had £5.50 to buy 2PL Chinese from the corner shop, I would buy my Chinese, and whoever's at home, we all put our fork in it and we all eat and we just enjoy what we have. That's the way that we lived in our household. But marrying my wife, her friend, her dad was more well off than my dad, and everyone, got pocket money. Her father supported them, and if they bought something, it was theirs, and everyone wants to use their money to go and buy their own. So that had its pros and cons, because in my marriage, I'm probably overly generous when it comes to finances, because I'm like, if I'm eating, everyone's got to eat. My missus is like, no, because then we have nothing left. So we provide balance for each other. So where I'm like, let's give, she's like, okay, wait, yes, we can give, but let's also look at what we have so that we can measure what we can give. So we provide balance. But with me, with finance in itself, where competition is relevant, again, I've never really competed with anyone, but the most important thing was knowing my own value and knowing that. So in my workplace, or when I started coaching, you don't earn a lot of money. But when I was playing, you earn significantly more money. So when I first started coaching, I was working part-time. I'm earning basically chicken change, nothing like what I was earning before, but I had to understand that it's a process, and over time, I will get there, then I'll be able to earn the type of money that I want. And of course, in even more time, I'll be able to earn large sums of money that I would never imagine in my wildest dreams. So for me, I'm at a stage where I'm understanding my value, and I'm doing everything I can to make sure that I'm educated and equipped and qualified enough to be able to earn the types of money that my value requires. Now, I'm still on this journey of understanding finance. And I say that because whilst, I'm working and earning a salary, there are also other ways in which that we can also acquire wealth. So again, these are ways in which I'm learning, even when it comes to buying a property and buying a home. When you buy your first home, there's only so much you know. You think, oh yeah, I finally got on a ladder. I know, this is what I want. And then you realize how many mistakes you made along the way and how you lost so much money. So I'm still on this journey of understanding money in itself. But in a marriage context, my wife and I, we are very balanced. We balance each other off. And I would say we're also relatively transparent, because you know us guys, sometimes you don't always want to reveal too much because you want to save some for a rainy day. And I can't lie, sometimes I'm like that, because you want to be the superhero, right? You want to be able to say, oh, she says, oh, we don't have, and then you're like, don't worry, I got an extra tenner. You're like, you saved the day. You get a few brownie points for things like that. So we're in a nutshell, we are quite transparent with each other. We have a joint account, which, bills come out of and all the rest of it. But if I'm honest, we also still have our personal accounts. Now, I always say it's up to, couples, up to you what you do. Whatever works for you is what you do. I'm an advocate for everything's got to go into one pot. We're very much, look, this is what I earn, this is what you earn, what's mine is yours. And we don't try and count each other's money as in how much you spending, etc. It's almost we're living in and out of each other's pockets. So I would like to say that we're very transparent with how we are as a marriage. But on the finance journey, I'm certainly still learning. I'm still trying to acquire even more knowledge. Hopefully that answers your question. I don't know.
Yeah,
I kind of went off on a tangent.
No, that's good. No, that's good. Definitely. Because I think money and status is such an important thing. And I think especially as men, in the world that we live in, especially all the things that we just kind of spoke about in terms of, and I think you even mentioned it, people getting their house, people driving cars, settlements, going to cigar parlors and smoking and all that kind of that was a dig at Carl, because he was trying to blow up social media with his cigar parlor, bro. I was just like, is it? Yeah, okay. But yeah, so it goes back to like, what Manfred was saying, everyone, sharing their victories, but the reality is as men, I think we naturally have that thing of, it's like boys in the locker room. There's that comparison that we have, and that kind of secret is negative because it's you guys together, because in some ways you guys inspire me in terms of all of the I've seen you do, whether that be on social media, whether that be personally, whether it's been conversations that we've had to talk about this, because I think finance, you know, I was talking to one of my brothers that my cousins, and they, you know, they were so fixated in terms of having everything together, you know, having the house, having the car, you know, having everything in line before they would connect. Guys, you're missing it. It's the other way around, because the problem is if you acquire your wealth, I find that sometimes it's already got everything. But if you spend your time almost still developing yourself, still, you know, being on that process to bettering yourself and acquiring wealth, but finding someone in during that process, because it's better to have a woman that builds with than a woman that comes and lives off you. It's better for you to have a woman that than a woman that comes in to build. And some people may disagree or agree, but I think in terms of the context of marriage and how we build together, we celebrate together, we go for a season is hard, but then you get to celebrate those victories together. So anybody else want to talk about that? Finances, status, how that kind of relates to you as a man, how you come to where you are today, and how that's kind of shaped you.
For me, it's weird actually. I've never really been. Sounds weird to say, but I've never really been motivated by money, really at all. Like, don't get me wrong, I've always wanted enough money to live and pay my bills and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I'm more motivated about achieving things I want to achieve. So whether that, and me and my wife, we met in a band. We were in a band together like 10 years ago, and for my goal was not to make music for money. It was for us to play best gigs and go on tour and get our songs on the radio and all that sort of stuff. And now my platform, the motivation isn't to make money, it's to be the biggest parenting platform in the UK, and it's to work with cool brands, and it's all that sort of stuff. And like, I think that's served me well, but not so well at times as well. So sometimes I have definitely paid for not being focused on money. And maybe I look back at my 20s, I'm like, do you know what? There's times when I could have saved a little bit more, you know, or I could have been looking at my ins and outs better. And I definitely wasn't. And I think that you know, looking back, that definitely stuck a little bit. And the funny thing is now I'm in a place where I'm doing what I want to do and making more money than I've ever made. And it's to the point where now I'm like, wow, I never, not in a humble way, I never thought I would be making the money I'm making now. If you'd asked me 6 years ago, I would have thought, oh my gosh, like I would never make that much. But now I'm doing it, and I'm doing it in doing what I want to do. And so I think in the long term, it's kind of worked out for me, because I'm making the money that I want, but by doing stuff I enjoy and I love. And I think that's a journey that I've been on. And definitely there's, you know, people that I know that were a lot more savvy, a lot more earlier, and have been able to do more with that money. But I think for me, this has been my journey, and I'm happy with it. And I think with me and my wife, we're actually very similar in that extent as well. Like, we're both driven by our passions. And I think we're just kind of lucky. I don't know what it is, but we're lucky we're in a place now where we're comfortable and we can do what we enjoy doing. But I would say that I think, you know, with relationships, like, the transparency around money is really important. And I think I learned a lot from my parents, where growing up, we didn't have a lot at all. We had enough. We weren't hungry, but we didn't have nice stuff until later in life, when I was going to university and stuff like that. And I think what I saw them do in terms of the way they budgeted was brilliant. So we never felt like we were without or less than anyone else. But when I talk to my parents now about how much money they were earning and stuff like that, I'm like, wow, like that wasn't a lot, but you guys budgeted really well, and you made meals last, and you made clothes last, and you shopped in the right way, and you didn't go on the big holidays, and they were just very good with managing their money. And I think I've learned a lot of lessons from that. So now we are able to, live within our means. We still enjoy ourselves, and we still use the money in the ways that make us happy. But I think just living within your means is very, very important, and not trying to go outside of that, especially not validation for other people. But I think my relationship with money has been an interesting one. I think, I guess advice to my younger self would be to be interested in money, be interested in what's coming in and what's going out a lot earlier if you can. But everyone's on their own journey. We can give advice, right? But we hope that people will take it and take some action.
Yeah. Definitely. Thank you. Manfred, Carl, who wants to go? This is our last point, guys.
I'll say my relationship with money has been a journey, because I grew up knowing that to have a good time you need money. Do you understand? To enjoy the luxuries of life you need money. So it was like from a young age, from entrepreneur, how to make money, where to make money, I was making money. So, but it was good, but it was bad, because I thought you can't have fun without money. So when we got married, I was broke. And so it was like, I thought we couldn't enjoy life, whereas my wife on the other hand was like, no, we can go to the park. I'm like, go to the park with no money? What do you mean? What are we going to go to the park and do? Are we going to go have picnic? Have picnic with what? Sandwich? No. So I'm like, that's not, I was like, I'm not going to the Dulwich Park and sitting down and eating. That is not fun. And it took me a while. And I'll be honest, a lot of years got robbed from me, because I thought that
your failure,
fun, enjoyment was associated with like the pinky notes and pound sterling. So I'll never forget this lesson. I don't know why I can never forget. Our son was 3, and all the sisters, everyone was going to South Bank, and I'm like, babes, look, money's tight, and you only got a £5, right? I'm not going to no South Bank with no siblings to disgrace myself. I'm not going. She said, no, we can walk across the pier. We can watch the... I said, I'm not going to watch no boat. I'm not going to watch no London Wheel with a £5. I don't know disrespect. You go with my son, go to the pier, go enjoy yourself, go with your sisters. That £5 stretched between you two. So I'm waiting for my next client to pay the invoice. The strange thing, she went to the pier, and she said, you know what, Manfred? I said, what? I said, what are you going to come and tell me? Everybody bought like 4 cheeseburgers and they were splashing money. She said, no one had no money. I said, huh? They all, I would pay for it. I split that £5 between 3 families. I said, but we had a great time. And from that time, I said, I will never, ever, ever let the lack of money stop me having a good time with my family. Believe me. From that point, I started to go to museums with them, National Pub. We started to enjoy London like a tourist. I mean, it was painful at first. It was painful at first, but I had to realize that enjoying life, because in my mind, with the book of Timothy, look, if you can't provide for your family, you're worse than an infidel. So in my mind, if I weren't giving them the luxuries, I weren't doing good. Giving them the basics. But that was my process because of my relationship with money. But when I got over that and realized, you can enjoy, have a good time. So long as you've got food on your table, so long as you've got healthy children, you can go to the park, go bike cycling. We cycle as a family a lot. And so once I got the revelation that you can have a good time, I think God said, okay, now you're ready. Now you're ready, son. Here's a little bit for you. So from that, then we went on the holidays and the Disneys and the worlds and different places and Christmas and Times Square and all of those stuff. But if I had a message to the younger version of me and to people coming up, don't love money like that. You need money, don't get it wrong. It's good to be ambitious. It's good to have that genuine drive to raise capital. But don't let it spoil your family time. Don't let it overtake you. And the best way I can describe this, I saw an advert the other day, and the first shot of the advert was the mum and the 3 children around the table. And the daughter was like, I really miss daddy. You know, I really miss him. And the son was like, I really miss daughter. And the other son, daughter was like, yeah, I really, daddy's so fun. And the wife was like, yeah, you know, I really miss daddy. And the shot panned to the other end of the table, and the dad was there, but he was on his phone. He was on his phone, engrossed in something. And many a times we're there, but we're not there. Do you understand? We are there, but we're thinking about, I need to make another 10K, or I'm gonna get this ROI on this property, or I'm gonna get this on this deal and get this. And so it got to a point, I was there, but I wasn't there. And it took a retired police officer. I'll never forget. He now a retired police officer, a detective. He was working in a car wash. He said, I've retired now, I just want to do something peaceful. And he said to me, I've noticed you every day, you come wash your car, half term, you're always working. So don't make the mistake I made. I was like, what's that? Because I worked very hard in my life. I made a lot of money, you know, I've done a lot of things, best of life, but I didn't know my kids. I didn't know them. I'm only getting to know them in their late teens, going into university, and it feels strange. And from that, he said to me, I can see you're driven, but don't let it rob your time from your family. So those are the 2 key points that I realized. Money is good, but bro, it's best that if you can have time with your family and build from that point and build with money, then amen. But don't allow money and to have a nice car and have this rob you from your time with your family. Because times I was upset, I was just moping around the house because I wanted to had a personal goal to make a certain amount of money. I was moping. No one slapped me. No one troubled me. No one disrespected me. But because of my own desire, I was being choked by my own desire. You know. So my advice is, look, chill, relax. Money will come. Not all seasons are the same. Some seasons you can have nothing. Some seasons you can have a lot. And it just takes one moment. Do you understand? And things can change. Right. It takes one moment. I've experienced those moments. I can tell you stories. You'll laugh your head off with time for no money. I'm telling you, but there's a time for that. But seasons change. Times change. Yeah. Look, money, so long as you got time, you can make money. That's how I say. So long as you've got time, 24 hours, you can make money. It's when you run out of time, you should be worried. Or as long as you got time, my brother, you can make money. Never too late. It's never too late to make some money. So my relationship with the money changed. At first, it was bad. I just wanted it. I wanted the Instagram. And that's from a young age. Before there was Instagram was in my heart. Let me tell you something. Before, it was there. It was there. The pictures were playing. The stories were playing. I knew what I wanted, but it's unhealthy. Yeah. It's unhealthy. It's unhealthy. I can go on about
so
and money.
So good. For real.
Yeah, go on.
Carl, come on.
Yeah.
Close us off, man.
Money.
Talk to us. He's a private equity man talk. Talk to us, son.
Listen. I'm telling you.
Money is
go for it, Carl.
Sensitive topic. And especially in the community, we shy away from talking about money with our children. We don't ever say how much we earn or anything-wise. It's a no-go zone. My relationship with money really started when we were in Niger. I remember there was a particular moment in time where things really, because my dad was a vicar, just retired 3 years ago. So in terms of money-wise and role models for, you know, who I aspired to be, I never aspired to be a pastor like my dad, you know. So my mom, on the other hand, had always been an entrepreneur and a small businesswoman, you know, but I didn't see her as that big sort of a business person. But I remember there was a particular time where things went bad. And then I remember we started cutting back on staff and groceries and all of that stuff. And I didn't understand what was going on, but I knew there was something going on. And then where it really, really kicked in for me, I'm just trying to paint the picture so I'll give you a bit of a bigger perspective. When we came over to the UK, I never got any pocket money or anything like that. I remember I started off at year 9, and my dad used to give me 50p a day. I remember there was this Jamaican boy called Dwayne. He used to take the piss out of me because I came from Nigeria. My accent was, I didn't talk like this back then, but his mom always gave him £5 a day. So I've got 50p that can only buy a can of Coke, not even Coca-Cola, cola, and this guy is having £5 a day. And I remember that weighed on me, that I didn't have that freedom to do what Dwayne was doing. He'll go, lunchtime, he'll buy the pizza, the this, the that, and then after school, he'll go to chicken shop and buy extra, And I remember, I thought, you know what, I need to start taking power into my own hands and multiplying money. So if you guys remember Money Up, where you
Yeah.
Come on.
I became proficient at Money Up. So I'll get to school about 8 o'clock or 7:30 and start gambling to get my money up. So sometimes I'll double my money, throw it up, heads, tails, boom, 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 boom. I get the money. And some other times I'll lose it, and then I have to go 2 days with no money. So fast forward, after school, I thought I did every single job under the sun you can think of. I've done security, cleaning, every job you can do in a warehouse, packing, I've done it. And it got to the point where I was like, you know what? I'm not where I want to be. And then I had a bad injury on my knee, so the dream of getting to the NBA, that was dead. So I thought, what else am I going to do? I'm not an MC. I can't rap. My sports, trajectory, that's crashing down. So the only other thing I thought was available to me was the roads, and I've been gifted with a bunch of skills that I sharpened on the streets, and we started making a ton of money. It's almost at that age, we were literally printing money. Give you guys some context, we were doing about 20 grand a day fraudulently. So set up this enterprise, and we literally ran it all the way from Birmingham down to Brighton. Cut a long story short, got on the wrong side of the law multiple times, as you do. Went away to prison, and I went in the first time, came out, I didn't learn my lesson. So my mentality was just whatever you have to do to get that freedom. It wasn't about the money. It was about the freedom. Say, if I want to eat this, I don't have to look at the left side of the menu. If I want to travel here, if I want to drive this, if I want to wear this, I don't want anybody to come and tell me, or I have to go and ask somebody. So it wasn't, I only realized that in retrospect, that I really wanted that freedom. But my 4th sprint in Her Majesty's hospitality suite.
Oh, they gave you a suite.
Talk to them, Carl. Tell them.
Imagine, it took me 4 times till the Holy Spirit came to meet me and said, "Oh, my guy, I didn't give you these talents to exploit it for the wrong things." And I had about, this was in 2012, I had about 750,000 in my bank account. And I was in prison, and I couldn't spend more than £50 a week.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, imagine, I have all that money, but I'm here doing 2 years, and it's useless. My check at the time couldn't access the money because banks, they had frozen some of the assets, and I had all the details. I couldn't pass it on to her because if that was triggered, blah, 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 they're coming for me for proceeds of a crime and all of this stuff. So it really got to me to say, why have you risked your freedom? You don't have that freedom that you were facing so aggressively. It's no longer there. And I remember I was so I went to a work in prison where you had to work or else you just behind the door 23 hours. And I was doing waste management. So literally I'll go around the whole prison. I was a bin man in short. And then they had a recycling department where I would literally use these 2 hands, sifting through prison rubbish, picking out glasses and bottles and plastics. And I'm thinking, how is this my life? Like a few weeks ago, I was in Mayfair, raving up with Rio Ferdinand. Literally any footballer in London, they know me personally. Because of you go in there, you want to, sending champagne to this person, that person, that person. We're doing 20 grand a night in clubs, and then next day we'll go again and do it. And then again, talking about that competition thing, they buy 10 bottles, wait to come, give me 15. They go and do 20 bottles, waiter, give me 30 bottles. I can show you pictures. Wow. And now look back and think, you imagine the madness where the next morning you're going to go to the toilets and piss out all that crystal for the sake of competition. I mean, it's stupid, utterly stupidity.
Yeah.
So fast forward, and I remember sitting outside the recycling place in jail. And I remember this was, people have always talked about encounters with the Holy Spirit and God spoke to them. I've never heard that before. But this time around, it was different. I'm sitting there thinking, how the hell is this my life? Like, my parents don't want to know me. Nigerian parents, pastor, son in prison. you know how that story goes. Or the man them that I thought I had, everyone kicked out, nothing. So it just literally me by my ones. And I heard a voice, and it was like, when you're talking in your head, but this kind of thought is not, I don't think like this.
Yeah.
And that's the certainty I had that God was talking to me directly. And what I heard was, Carl, I forgive you. The talents and gifts I've given to you, you're squandering on things I've not sent you to do. And in that moment, my whole life changed 360. Prior to that, the only book I ever read was Oliver Twist. This was way back in Nigeria. So talk about reading. My friend, believe you me, I was worse than you, bro. I did not want to open any books. So fast forward, I came out and I met a guy who, the first book I read was Think and Grow Rich, and also How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie.
Yes.
And these books are talking about, ultimately business people. And I'm reading these books, I'm thinking, hang on, these things these guys are doing, it's exactly the same thing that I'm doing. I'm just in a different vehicle and using it for different means. So ultimately, my whole relationship with money changed. And I realized money, you got to see it for what it is. It's simply a tool.
Yes.
The only thing money gives to you is choice. If you walk into an aircraft, you have the choice to go left or to go right, period. If you're an a-hole with money, broke, when they give you money, all you can do is more damage because of who you already are. And what I've come to realize, all that money does is magnify who you already are. So that saying money changes people, blah, 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 that's nonsense. It just magnifies who you already are. So fast forward to kind of where we are now, I've come to realize that I'm simply a conduit for money. The gift that I have is to enable me to go and create money to better people's lives. It's that simple. Believe in me, the same hunger and drive that I had way back then to create as much as I needed to is still what I have to today. Because, we are men, let's be real. Everyone, whoever's listening to this will know that as guys, we meet people and the first thing we really want to know is, who are you, what do you do? To find out how much respect I'm going to give to you based on how much you earn or how much I think you earn. And that's what we do as let's keep it 100, So if I find out this guy is a CEO of this company, the way I say to him, hello, my hello goes from wow to hello, sir. You have to humble yourself. What you think you can get from the guy?
He said walk one to hello, sir.
Oh my God.
It's true.
We can't get anything from them. We treat them differently because we don't think that there's any value for us. So my whole view on that has changed. Like you can't be humble just because of what you think you can get for someone. My whole relationship with money now is honestly just see it for what exactly it is, and just be a conduit. Just be someone who money comes through to enrich the life of people. And it's honestly that simple. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm even 10 times more driven to create it double it more than I've ever have and will do. But the purpose is for something very different. It's not to use it for myself. It's simply to I'm being blessed to bless more people.
Yeah.
So I look at God and say, listen, you put me here, you give me these skills and gifts for a reason. It's in your best interest that I achieve what you've put me here for, so I can bless your people. If I'm not achieving, why did you send me here in the first place? So that's the kind of dialogue I have with God to say, listen, it's your best interest to make me rich. If not, I can't bless your people.
No, I love it, man. Love it. Thank you so much, Carl, for again just being transparent. Because I think, again, this is it, man. Do you know what I mean? It's money is, like the Bible says, it answereth all things. Definitely gives us more choice. And I think balance is definitely key. And I love what Manfred said about, do you know what I mean? What the guy said to him at the car wash. Do you know what I mean? Because I think this is why it's important for us to communicate. Because one of the other things I was going to say as well was the importance of sharing the journey whilst you're still on the journey. Because I think sometimes as men, we almost hide ourselves away to get to a particular level. And then now when we get to a particular level, now we want to come out and say, yeah, I made it. But actually, what a lot of people lose, or what the next generation lose, or our children may lose, is that journey to get there. Because a lot of times when I see or I meet successful people, the first thing I ask them is, how did you get there? Do you understand? Like, what was the journey? What was the process? Because without that process, or understanding that process, we would never be able to know how to get there. Do you understand what I'm saying? So thank you guys so much for sharing some of the processes that you've gone through. And I'm hoping that this will resonate with some people, who are listening. Because we have to go through process in order to get to where we want to get to. As men, in order to become the men that, we're purposed to be, we have to go through that process. And trying to skip the process is only going to make it more difficult in the end. Because it's one of those things where, there's a story in the Bible where the children of Israel were promised that they were supposed to enter into the promised land. But because of their kind of selfishness, because they were complaining all of the time, a 6-7 day journey turned into 40 years. And sometimes that's what God uses with us. When we don't learn our lesson, sometimes we have to go round and round and round again until we actually learn it, or until it's like, well, it's done now. The next generation now needs to take over. You've kind of missed your time. And my heart is that anyone and everyone who is listening to this, whether you're listening to it live today, or tonight rather, or whether you're watching the rebroadcast, is understanding how important the process is, because it hurts sometimes. Do you know what I mean? It definitely doesn't feel good. Do you know what I mean? I was talking to Carl just the other day, and I said to him, I said, look, I don't mind looking stupid for a season. Do you understand? Because sometimes you may look stupid when you're trying to learn new things and learn new skills. But when you continue to educate yourself and be persistent and consistent, it will always pay off in some way, shape, or form. Do you know what I mean? So guys, thank you so much for joining today. Wow, Manfred, Elliot, Hassan, and Carl, you guys have been amazing. Thank you so much, because I think everything this was definitely a different live, because I think it was important that I allowed all of you to speak, because I think all of you bring such a flavor to this male journey that we're all going on. And I think all of your experiences, all of your processes, should I say, is definitely valuable. And I think, I'm hoping that something that one of you has said has related to one of the men, or even the women, again, eavesdropping on the conversation, to help understand us a bit better. Because I think as Black men particularly, and we didn't even go into race, that might have to be for another session, but particularly as Black men, being able to communicate, being able to talk about our experiences without feeling threatened or feeling like, oh, he's watching what I'm doing, or I need to be better than what he's doing. It's powerful. Do you know what I mean? And I think we need more of it, where we come together, where we're not trying to outdo each other or kill each other, as the media is portraying men that look like us, are really coming together and just spreading positivity, and enabling the next generation to be empowered to go on to do greater things. So guys, I want to thank all of you guys who are live right here on YouTube. Thank you guys for tuning into Two Love Collective. Our motto is believing in love again, and we've really been talking about, you know, just competing and completing, and all the different facets of how we relate to this topic as men. It's been an amazing time. I want you guys to please share this live with somebody. You know what I mean? If you've got a son, a cousin, or a nephew, a brother, or whoever, an uncle that needs to hear this conversation, definitely share it with them, so that they can be encouraged, and hopefully take something from it that they may not have known before. You know what I mean? So guys, again, thank you so much. My name is Ulrich. I'm the other half of the Cokers. My wife is not with me today because we've been talking to the man them. This has been straight to the point, part 8, guys. So keep it locked. We're going to be here next week, Tuesday. Follow us, Two Love Collective, on all of our socials, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram as well. And we will see you next week. Take care and God bless.